Hey everyone, hope you all had a great weekend. Thanks for joining me on October 3rd. And as always, we are not financial advisors, and everything you see in here is for educational purposes only. I hope everybody was safe in Florida, in that area. I know we have one of our members who, luckily, he was already prepared and had no power, but he had a backup generator, had food and water, so that's good. It's always a smart thing to be prepared, which I actually need to do myself because there's all this woo woo talking about like, oh, so much bad things are gonna happen in New York, so I need to get on it. But anywho, uh, since our last public update, we mentioned that we could have been at a top, and then we would drop back down. Unfortunately, we actually broke above the fist and then we dropped back down. I would have liked for it to hold on the actual fib, so I'd be more confident, being like, okay, cool, yeah, now it's gonna retrace all the way back down. But because we broke it, I'm not as confident. Keep in mind, we're still testing this on the actual dollar because the dollar actually runs a little bit different. But for the most part, we did drop back down. We have this second arrow target that we need to do. So we have an open target at 111.76 now, on top of the 106. And what's interesting here is, while the whole market, like interest rates have gone up, the dollar has gone up. Now that it's almost midterms, up in November, a lot of people are already starting to say this as well. The market is gonna have to fix itself, right? Because during midterms, all these like politicians don't want to look bad, like, oh well, you've under your oversight, like the whole market is doing terrible. We're in recession and this and that, right? They're gonna pump the market back up. So I can see the market push back up, like some people are starting to say, and that obviously this would be more of like the dollar's gonna drop because it's the market's gonna be doing pretty good. I'm not too sure on the stock market how everything works. Maybe if they pump the market, the dollar will go up too. But being as that the market has, or like the overall the world has been pretty crappy, and the dollar has been raising, right? Since August. Since August, like everything has been like going to crap and it's gone up. So I'm assuming if the whole world's gonna like start doing better for like the whole November midterms things, we should start pushing back down, and that would be cool because then that way maybe we knock out our 106 target. Now with Bitcoin is just going sideways. Now since our last update on the 26th, we mentioned, hey, I can see us pushing back up because the dollar should drop back down. Unfortunately, we went up but then kept going back down. This week was so heavily manipulated because of all the Fed news and interest rates and all this and that. Now we had some nice pumps and dumps, and we made a couple good calls. Like for example, here when we jumped to this one, when it started dumping down here, I made my market update and be like, you know what? I can see it going back up. Like it just dumped because of like the news, and as soon as people see it's done dumping, they're gonna jump back in. Came all the way back up, pushed back up. We knew this could have been a top, push back down. So unfortunately, I didn't go up to the target I wanted to, at least to the top trend line. But we were able to monitor all this other movement, and we kind of just stayed away from the market. It was kind of the market was going up and down, like very volatile, but for us it was kind of boring because we knew it was all manipulated. Like if you would have jumped in, you would have got dumped on. If you would have solid dump, you know what I mean? Like, oh, sorry, I meant to say, like, if you would have saw that pump, you wouldn't, and you would have jumped in, you would have got dumped on. If you would have saw it like, dumping and you got out, it would have pumped right back up, right? So even though there's a bunch of movement, it's usually better just to sit back and watch it. So week's been a little boring, but at the same time, we're just watching it, not FOMOing, not chasing all these like pump and dumps. Unfortunately, I would have wished it would have went up to at least the top trend line. And based on what I'm hearing, like, what, they're going to want to try to do good during the midterms. They're going to start, making themselves look good. The market still could push back up to this. So there's two scenarios. If that happens, we could push up. They're going to want to make the market look good, and we can push up, or we can finally crash. I'm not sure if I touched it up on the last market update or not. If we add these like the moon phases, which there's only one moon phase that I look for, and that's this little red half moon. I believe it's the new moon. Oh, first moon. The first moon is the only moon I trust, and even then, it's about a 70% chance that it drops afterwards. There are scenarios where on this, it actually went up to the top trend line, and that could actually happen, believe it or not. We could actually make that red moon and we still push up to the top trend line. It usually does drop the market though. Like so here, you know, it dropped. This is the one time where it actually went upward. Here, dropped back. It did push up a little bit, but then dropped back down. Here it dropped down. You know, here it continued to drop down. Here it's already continued the momentum of dropping down. Here, dropped down, but then pushed up a little bit. Here, you know, again, it went up and then it dumped. So like we have to be cautious in case, oh, it goes up, so the, you know, not gonna dump. Here it went sideways, like it went up, down, kind of went sideways, and then here it dumped down. So, you know what I mean? Overall, it does tend to push more of a downward movement. So if this prints and it holds true, then it could dump back down, and then maybe we touch that yellow line. I'm not going to talk about that target no more because I keep talking about it and it doesn't want to hit. So now we're going to do the opposite. We're not going to talk about it. Maybe it'll hit, so we'll see. But I mean, I don't know. The fact that it's holding on this trend line, it's one of those like make or break spots. Let me remove this so I can see a little better. Like this right here is this spot right here. It's this spot right here. You know what I mean? This spot right here. Like we're at the point where it could do a big old, you know, make or break. It can be here too as well though. This is what I mean. Like we could even push up. We could even push up. But it's one of those like make or break points. I honestly do want it to drop down to that 17 because then we'll have more momentum coming back up. And then for it to go up to that 21. You know, we got those two targets there. So it's pretty interesting. It's going to be really tough. On top of that, in the Discord, you know, we did mention, you know, what, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, there's going to be all kinds of Fed news. So these days, it can easily be, you know, manipulated. So we could be going down, then all of a sudden we go back up, touch the top trend line. We can go up, and all of a sudden, you know, some crazy news happens, we can drop. So this following week is also going to be pretty crazy. So there's a lot to go on, which makes it very difficult for me to usually predict what's going to happen next. Because I saw this going pushing upward, and we just kind of went sideways. But we still tracked these days, so we knew like, hey, this is the top, it'll drop back down. Hey, this is the bottom, or hey, this is, you know, the dump is over. Nobody's dumping it no more, so everyone's gonna jump back in, push it back up. So we still were able to manage it, you know, going sideways. We just weren't able to say like, oh, it hit our target perfectly. It was so manipulated. But just to recap of everything I said, because I know it's a lot of things. I'm pretty much in limbo because there's two scenarios that can play out. One, the red moon actually plays out like it's supposed to, and we just drop back down. Or two, you know, the Fed start making the economy look good because the midterm election, so the market could push back up. And I believe a lot of people are actually going to start getting some stimulus checks. I know New York is, California is, so there's going to be a little bit of money for, and isn't it like perfect timing, right? Everyone's going to have a little bit of money to go buy and sell and make the economy look good because they got a little bit of extra cash. You know, it just all kind of like plays into play. So then maybe we push upward, right? This could be maybe the bottom for now. And now that I think about it, oh, look at this. We could actually be right here, look. So, like kind of, we went sideways, then we went up, came back down, had a little spike. We went sideways, we went up, had that little spike, and then we went up. We can actually technically go up. Because again, it always usually repeats itself. So I'm going to double check that. But honestly, I think we could actually go up. And it just makes perfect sense, right? Because of that. But again, I'm in limbo because those two scenarios can happen. And usually I'll be pretty confident saying like, hey, we're going to go one way. more confident going one way, and you know, these are other scenarios that could happen, but I'm more confident about this. You know, we have this target, we have that. But right now, because of all that Fed news, it's a little bit tricky to manipulate which way it's going to go. So we're just going to have to play it by ear and watch as it's going. But that last play where it goes up, because it does kind of match this. Yeah, because this would be the big move. And then this would be like the little move. And then we just slowly head up towards the end of the year and then dump back down. Yeah, that just makes kind of sense. So we'll see how we'll play out today. When we look at like the other coins, you know, we mentioned how, you know, we were dropping, which we knew we had to drop back down, you know, a good decent amount. So we dropped back down, we landed on a strong reversal fib. This is where I mentioned, hey, we could actually bounce back now because we have these 2 arrow targets. We had a really big bounce, which is good. Now that I think about it, I think the pattern might be smaller. I like to do a lot of this stuff on the fly, like, so it might be kind of a long video. I won't do so many coins, so it's not like a long video. But I was looking at it like this earlier, where, you know, we had to do this U. So I thought maybe this, no, it does, because it can't be that high. It has to be higher than that, so it doesn't count. Because I was thinking maybe this would be this, and then this would be this, and then it takes off. And that would make it pump like on the 5th, but it has to be above or at least close to this, and like it not that close, right, to the previous top. So I'm not gonna count that. But we did. Here's the thing about each one of these candles. Remember, it's not gonna play out perfectly, but it is. So let's say we drop down, right? We drop down, then we go back up. So we go back up, then we drop back down, then we drop back down, then we go back up, then we go back up. Because we know we have to do a second arrow up. So we have to come back up to this area here. And so for right now, it's actually not bad. It's still following it because it's still going to do this. So if we continue to push back up, if this holds here and continue to push back up, then this part of the pattern will be locked in and the second part will happen. Now, a lot of people would always be like, oh, well, why can't we trade this already? Like, why can't we get in here? Or, sorry, like sell here, get down, buy here, go up, sell here, go down, buy here, go up. Like, the thing with patterns is we want to make sure they're locked in, right? You don't want to just FOMO into a bunch of trades thinking because, oh, it's going to do this, it's going to do that. No, we want to make sure this is a locked pattern and we get in at the best spot. The best spot to get in here will be the breakout. So we'll make sure all this happens. This is where we get in. Another spot you could do would be down here. So if we go up and this retraces, you can get in here because then you can have a small stop loss in case it drops. And it's not as severe. You won't risk as much as in over here. You just buy the breakout, so you know it's gonna continue to pump, kind of like we did with Luna a few times, right? So we got to make sure we have to be patient for this to play out. Let's see. For right now, we'll go over to SHIBA, and SHIBA is obviously taking its sweet time too. So it's literally just going sideways. So we know when we went up, we got rejected at the top trend line. We came down. Last night we mentioned, hey, you know, this could be our bottom at 1077, so we could push back up. We're pushing back up, but it's kind of more of a sideways upward movement. We need to get above this trend line. And right now you can see it's below the trend line again. So we got to get above it to push back up, because this is one of those, like, you know, areas where it's like, all right, could it break the pattern now? Because, you know, we're supposed to go down, sideways, back down, and do a V. We need to do that V shape. We almost got it, but then it dumped back down. All right. But we did leave that open target at 1216. So we do need to come back up there, and that would be the sideways. And that would be this little area, which is this little area. And then we just prep for that breakout. So again, kind of like how I mentioned with XRP, buying kind of like here, because we have pushed back up a little bit, or like down here, where we're at now, we're a strong reversal wave. This is a good spot to buy, have a short like stop loss around, like, let's say 1070 or so, right? The fib line is 1077. So long as we stay above that, it'll push back up. And then now you're entering somewhere down here, instead of like just, you know, jumping in wildly, because you don't want to get in when it's like in the middle, just because it's going to push up. You know, you don't want to get in here in the middle because you know it can still push up. No, it's like either you hit at one of the bottoms, maybe here, but usually you want to get the breakout. It's less stressful if you just go for that breakout. Oh, I've got to move that back. You know what I mean? At least in this scenario, it's a little bit better because, as you can see, it's just an upward. It's not like a XRP will go up, down, up, down, up, down. So you have to like worry about going up and down, up and down, up and down. It's just more of a curve upward. So as it's going up, you can do stop loss because you don't have to worry about it coming back down and then going back up and, you know, risking you stomped out. But other than that, I always still wait for that breakout. When we look at Luna, so we mentioned this could be a top. Since our last update, we dumped back down. We mentioned, hey, this could be a reversal, push back up. Last night we mentioned, hey, this could be a reversal as well, and we do have that second arrow target that we need to close, and so we're slowly pushing back down. I think they mentioned mid-October. Woobu, who's nailed a few calls on this, mentioned like mid-October or something like that it'll pump again, so I'm not too sure. So it could drop all the way back down to that 25,748. So I mean, Luna, you know, it got exciting for a little bit, but then now it looks like it could be somewhat near a top. Last coin I want to touch up on, because I'm not trying to make too big of a video. I'm not even going to do ads today because this is already too long. But we did nail our ADA target. So when we were all the way over here, I know Crypto University came out with the video saying, hey, you know what, ADA's at a good spot. It wasn't 100%, but he said ADA's at a good spot that it could, you know, easily, you know, pump back up, you know, do great. We knew like, hey, well, we have to stay below, we have to stay above this trend line. If not, we're going to dump back down to a 42. And as you can see, it dumped down, pushed back up, you know, and when it pushed back up, it got people excited, like, oh, maybe he's right. And then got completely rejected, pushed back up, come all the way back down. We actually hit our target on the 28th. So I can actually remove this. I'll put that over here. I'm going to link these two real quick. We'll make it into a little chain. So our Cardano target hit that. And for those that are not in the Discord or in the Edge tier and always wonder, like, so what are some of the benefits of the next tier up? This would be one of the benefits. You can actually request, because remember, I don't go through every single coin, so I can't go through all your favorite coins all the time. I usually stick with whatever, like, has a lot of momentum or what's going on. You know, most of the coins are just kind of going sideways, but you can request, and there's a few people that are always taking advantage. You can request, you know, charts on your coin so you can see where they're at. Because, like, let's say you're a big fan of Crypto University and he told you, hey, this could be a good time, a good place to get some, and then you notice that, hey, it completely still dropped and it hit our target. So now you know, hey, this is a spot where it's okay to get some now. So now you saved a good like 15, you know, percent, or you just gained 15% more coins and stuff like that. So that's what's kind of, you know, part of it being beneficial on top of just like doing the one-on-one zooms and stuff. But just wanted to touch up on that because I've had a lot of people ask me, like, so, you know, what's different from the higher tier is you get a good advantage of when to get in and out of some of your coins. There have been scenarios where something has pumped and I'll let people know, like, hey, it's a good time to get out. But anyways, I said I wasn't going to go over like the whole ad thing, so I'm not going to touch it too much. And I meant like the whole, like at the end where I do this whole thing about like the rooms and everything. That's what I meant, not what I'm doing right now. Other than that, the rest of the coins are just kind of going sideways. They're pumping up today, so we'll see how we end up. But again, like I mentioned before, just a quick little recap. It's already pushing back up. Like I can see us do that upward movement, like how we do, like over here, how I mentioned. And this would make us go all the way back up to the 21. And then come back down, touch that trend line, and kind of go sideways. Just because it makes sense, right? No politician's going to want to look bad and be like, oh, well, we were in recession during your time. They're going to pump the market back up. So I believe it. So out of those two scenarios, I believe like we'll have a good October. And I already like mentioned a few times where it's like, and this was like weeks ago where I said, hey, mid-October looks really good for a lot of altcoins. And now it just makes sense why it would be good. So if we start pushing back up and knock out the 21, I'll still be kind of bummed because it's like, dang, like I really wanted to knock out that 17. I preferably would like it to drop, take out that 17. So I don't have to worry about it. Even if we go to the 21, there's still a chance we might never touch that again. We look at the weekly. We'll go back up. So this is where it's gonna get kind of interesting, but we'll see about this pattern. But I'll touch upon that on a different video. But you know, I wanted it to touch that bottom. You know, but I mean, we're pretty much there. This is why I've been telling people like, hey, it's okay to DCA now. You know, start getting your coins. If you're waiting for Bitcoin to drop to like $10,000 and you know these coins like super cheap, there's a good chance you could get left behind. I'll just tell you that. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with buying some now and dollar cost averaging on your way down. If you are holding back and say, you know what, I'm not going to buy them now because I know they're going to be 50% off later. I'll tell you that. I made that mistake before because of a psychic that told us, hey, it's going to drop back down, and she was doing pretty good. So I sold some of my coins. And keep in mind, this was like years ago, 2017. I was like, oh, well, if it's going to dump 50%, let me sell my coins and I'll buy them cheaper. They only kept going up. So this is why like I'm big on that because I don't want people to go through the same scenario I did. But other than that, pretty much it for today. I'll be watching the market. You know, we have a few, you know, interesting things that are going to happen Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So we'll see how we play out. Right now, Bitcoin didn't touch any reversal fibs, so it could still drop more, but obviously we're pushing back up. It's Monday. There's a lot of good news going on about like, well, not good news, but a lot of news about the market being good because of midterms elections. So video's already way too long. For those who endured all the way through, thank you, I appreciate you, and I will see you on the next video.